Public charter schools have been meant to be innovators, and that's what this sounds like it is.
Exactly.
An innovation about who is in the classroom.
Right. And someone asked me whether public schools ought to have this law as well. Well, perhaps, but I think that most people do think that there's something about certification. It sounds good, and so I'm sure the public would be very leery about just eliminating certification, even though it might ultimately lead to better teachers.
So for right now, this law change affects public charter schools, but not the traditional public schools.
Right, only charter schools. So it's a small step, but as charter schools grow, I think it could be a very important step. It's going to make colleges of education be a little bit more aware that they've got to do a good job.
That brings us to your very interesting point in a piece you wrote about this that was posted at carolinajournal.com. How do you see this law change about teacher certification for public charter schools impacting the education of teachers?
I think that schools have to realize that they're going to be, their graduates are going to be competing with others, the retired chemist, or the engineer, or even in the elementary level, the Montessori teacher who wouldn't otherwise be able to teach in a public school, but now could. So they've got to be better, and I think that it will have an impact on their decisions. There are so many problems with education schools, and again, I don't want to paint with too broad a brush, but it is somewhat legitimate. The education schools, for some reason, have become kind of a home for social justice and kind of radical, sometimes, ideas. They read Paul Freire was a radical of some years back, and they are not really concentrating on the details or the science of how you teach reading or math. There's a lot of emphasis on the idea that that a child just learns by himself or herself, and that the teacher doesn't have to stand up in the front of the room and teach. But that concept has not held up well in our schools at all. So I think that any pressure that can be put on education schools to do a better job is important, and this is one.